Welcome, aspiring pharmacists, to a comprehensive guide to documents required in pharmacy practice. Let's dive in. In this video, we'll be covering the following topics: prescription and prescription labeling, regulations, medications for veterinary use, building and maintaining patient drug profiles, prescription transfers, repackaging medications previously dispensed, patient consultation and procedures, supplementary forms associated with prescriptions, utilization of auxiliary labels and patient package inserts, med guides, MedWatch, and RX prices. Veterinarian drugs. All veterinarian drugs dispensed shall be labeled with the following: name and address of the pharmacy, RX number, name of prescribing veterinarian, the species, name of animal, and any other important information needed. Moving on to patient drug profiles. These include the patient's name, address, date of birth, allergies, and any other important information. The prescription information. Before and after a prescription is filled, certain requirements need to be met. These requirements include the prescription being easily retrievable, prescription number being provided, the date being on the prescription, and the initials of who filled and the final check of the medication on it as well. If the prescription does not have an expiration date, then the medication cannot be dispensed. You would then have to call the doctor and verify the prescription, or ask the patient to go back to the doctor to get that signature and the date on there as well. Refill prescription requirements include: must document everyone's name who refilled the medication or played a role in refilling the medication. Any changes from the original prescription will require a new prescription. Prescription label requirements. These requirements include name, address of pharmacy, patient information, RX number, prescriber, and dates. It needs to be in size 12 font, and 50% of it needs to make up the patient's name, the name of the medication, directions. If the compound or unit doses are prepared, then the lot number needs to be recorded as well. Prescription transfers. C3 to C5 medications can only be transferred once. The only exception to this is if there is a common computer link, then you can refill it at a different pharmacy. An example of this is CVS. They have a common computer link where they can look up common patients from other CVSs. Repackaging previously dispensed medications. Per patient's request, a pharmacy can repackage a medication that has been previously filled at a different pharmacy. The name and the address of both the repackaging pharmacy and the pharmacy that initially filled the prescription must be on the medication. Patient consultation. Upon dispensing any new prescription, a pharmacist must give an oral consultation. If the patient requests a consultation, the pharmacist must provide one regardless. If the pharmacist believes it is necessary to counsel the patient, then they can provide one as well. This was per the OBRA in 1990. That's when this act passed. Only 2 times a pharmacist are not required to provide a consultation, and this is if they refill a medication and there are no changes to that medication, and if a patient refuses the consultation. Every new prescription requires an oral consultation by the pharmacist by law. This consultation includes how to use the medication, the importance of the compliance with directions, proper storage of the medication, side effects, and drug interactions. If translating, you need to provide that language that's needed by the patient and the English version of the directions as well on the bottle. Translations are provided on the Board of Pharmacy website. Forms that accompany prescriptions. There are 4 forms of written material that may be required by law or a manufacturer to accompany each prescription. This includes a written statement, which encourages patients to ask questions, auxiliary labels such as shake well, store in a cool, dry place. Auxiliary labels that are required by law are the labels labeled may cause drowsiness, may affect vision, when combined with alcohol may cause drowsiness or may impair. Examples of these are benzos, muscle relaxants. All controlled medications require an auxiliary label stating, "Caution, federal law prohibits the transfer of the drug to any person other than the patient whom it is prescribed for. Other forms include patient package inserts, which are mainly with estrogen products and other products. And lastly, patient med guides, which warn patients about potential side effects and adverse effects. Here you could see a couple examples of auxiliary labels. You see these around community pharmacists and inpatient pharmacists all the time. They may read, may cause dizziness, shake well, take evening, generic substitute. So you'll see these throughout the pharmacy, and they are vital for patient compliance. Here you could see a couple medications that cause hypersensitivity, so they'll need the auxiliary label of avoid prolonged exposure to sunlight. These medications include the list here. For antibiotics, I remember no fun in the sun. This allows me to remember fluoroquinolones, tetracyclines, and Septra, which is Bactrim. Other medications include voriconazole, loop diuretics, thiazide diuretics, imiodarine, isotretinoin, and methotrexate. Next, these medications will have take on an empty stomach on it. These medications include HIV medications and any other combinations containing these: Cystiva, Videx, Lexiva, Crixivan. And we're using brand names because on the CPJE, they will test you on brand names. It's very rare that they use generic names. They could use a couple throughout the exam, but they'll be mainly using brand names to try to trick you. And if you don't know the brand name of the medication, then you won't be able to get the question correct, even if you know the answer. Moving on, we also have penicillin B, ampicillin, dicloxacillin, Vifend, Cellcept, Astrograph, Seroquel, Opana, the live typhoid vaccine, lansoprazole, sucralfate, accolate, bisphosphonates. And for these, there are some exceptions, so we'll see that when we review bisphosphonates in later videos. Captopril, Solar, nifedipine, and Dilacor. Next, we have medications that will have the auxiliary label saying shake before using. And here you could see a list of the eye drops, ear drops, and the antibiotics. And a rule of thumb for ear drops and eye drops: what goes into the eye can go into the ear, but what goes into the ear cannot go into the eye. And this is because our eyes are very sensitive, and any hazardous material could potentially cause blindness or for a patient to lose their vision. So we want to be very careful with that. Next, we have a list of medications that are kept in the refrigerator. So here you can see the brand and generic names as well. I would pause the video right now and take a second to memorize these and look over these and know the brand and generic for the CPJE, because they could give you either one. Moving on to patient package inserts. These are federal regulations that require patient package inserts for estrogen and other products. Med guides. Any drug with a black box warning require a med guide. You could see a list here of medications that require a med guide, which include Abilify, isotretinoin, fentanyl, ADHD medications, antidepressants, antibiotics, and LABAs.